Okay, everyone stand by. And action.
All we want is the money. You give us the money, we'll give you the girl.
Now, hand over the girl.
No, I think we're gonna keep her. We'll teach you a lesson she'll never forget.
And then off you go.
Well, the history of Street Performer starts as an idea that I had for a number of years. I always knew I wanted it to be a silent film, and I just didn't think there would be a lot of interest for that. But finally in 2008, I decided to sit down and put it into a screenplay form, and when I was finished with it, I knew it would be something I'd never get to make. I put it away and said, well, at least I wrote it down. You know, when you decide to take on a project like Street Performer, you know you're getting yourself into something a little over your head, I think. Because it's a period piece set in the 1920s, 1930s, you know, you have to research everything. And one of the things I was worried about was my Converse shoes, mine and Matt Moore, the guy that played the mime. We both wore Converse, and I was like, I'm not sure when those came around. So I actually had to look that up, and those came around in 1921. So that was researched. Like with Sean, who plays one of the bad guys, he pulls out a butterfly knife. I was like, well, I wonder if that was even around in the 1920s. And so I had to look that up. And yes, it was. That was right to the time. You kind of have to think about everything that you're going to do and research it just to make sure, because you know there's going to be that one person out there going, that's not period. So one of the other big challenges of Street Performer is that it's a period piece. It needed to have a big feel to it, but we didn't have a lot of money. This was a very low budget film, and I knew that was going to be a challenge because we were going to need lots of wardrobe. I wanted lots of extras to populate the sidewalk because I wanted this movie to feel a little bit bigger than a normal low budget film might. And my mother was a huge help in this, and we just went to all the thrift stores throughout the Irving and Dallas area, and we put together all of this wardrobe for probably less than $300. And then we were helped by many of the extras that would show up and already have their hair done and finger waves. It was fun to see how people brought their own ideas to the project and really helped make the movie that much better. You know, we put together a great cast for Street Performer. I couldn't have asked for better villains. Anytime I even watch the movie today, they're my favorite part of the whole movie. Brian Massey with that mustache is just awesome. That and his suspenders, he had a lot of fun with those.
And now, Sean, you see my character. Hey.
One more.
Yeah, there you go.
Can I eat it? Sure, I'm not.
He had a lot of trouble with that mustache. And even to the point where I was like, are you sure you want that? We can just take it off and reshoot this one side. And he was like, no, I gotta have the mustache. I was like, oh, all right. He really wanted that. He had gotten that in with his character.
I will not be made a fool of.
And then, of course, Matt Moore as the mime brought so much more to that part than even I imagined. I was so pleased with his performance.
Oh yeah? Well, I have a right to rearrange your face.
We'll see.
What can I say about Sean? Sean just had a field day and brought his own personality to it.
Aw, young love, ain't this sweet?
Very pleased with the villains. They're my favorite. The first person I cast was Hillary Kennedy because I knew she was perfect for the part. When we went and had a meeting about it, I said to her, I said, Hillary, you have to do this for me. You have to. There's nobody else. There's nobody else that can do this. And I was right. I know that. I know that to this day. She was excellent. Had the perfect look for this film. You know, when you sit down and you think, all right, we're going to make a silent film, you kind of have to rethink the way you might do things nowadays. Everything's a little bit more dramatic, a little bit bigger, from the acting to the makeup. And we had two great makeup girls on this, Heather Henry and Kelly Irby. And I got to tell you, when I saw Hillary in her makeup when we were shooting the night stuff in the alley scene when she's in distress, and I saw her on the monitor in black and white, I knew we were on to something because she looked like Mary Pickford to me. I knew one of the challenges with Street Performer was going to be the fact that I was going to have to be in it. I'm not used to acting. I don't act a whole lot. And also, the job of having to direct and act, I knew was just going to be too overwhelming. And that's why I was so pleased to have Drew Rist come in and co-direct the film with me. I knew we were going to have a lot of time for playbacks on set, that the shooting schedule was enormous, and I needed somebody on the monitor that I could trust to say, yeah, man, you got it, let's move on. And Drew was the perfect guy.
Well, hello there, Chris. Get a little closer.
I was very lucky to have Drew Rist as a co-director on this. In addition to that, the most important person in my mind was really Josh Gobin. He's really kind of the rock of our whole thing, our whole Size 5's productions. He does nothing but encourage people.
This is the worst crew, worst cast ever. This is killing me. Just no support, nothing. Now they've got kids on this thing. Kids, dogs are next, monkeys. We got here at 4:30 a.m. We're not gonna leave till at least 9. It's just, I don't know why I say yes to stuff like this. They cut our budget in half. Johnny Depp's out now. Now we got either Scott Baio or the guy that played Dobie Gillis. You know, I'm a professional. You know, I get paid to do this, and I come out here with all these amateurs, and they're like, oh, and then they bring their buddies, and they bring their mom, and that's... This stays between you and I, right?
Just his presence on a set just brings up everybody's morale.
That's that dingbat Don I was telling you about. I told Drew, I told Chris, it's like, I'm not even going to do this shoot. If that guy is all that. And then who's the first one that greets me? Hey, I'm Don. I'm doing art department. It's just,
Is that,
like,
are you telling me?
not even the B team. It's like the Z team. got to, it's such a scrub operation, man. This is the third day of shooting, even worse than the first two. Somehow our crew has even gotten more lazy. Our talent, I can't even get into it. I can't even get into like how poor our talent has been on this shoot. Have you been paying attention to the takes? It's childlike at best. Did you see the cameraman? It's like Buddy Holly and Huck Finn had a kid and Howdy Doody adopted it. Did you see the paper gag just now? Yep. I've been on this shoot for like 4 days, it seems like, and these guys, they just keep nagging me, and they're horrible filmmakers. It's like they studied Troll 2 and Samurai Cop was their source material, and I can't tell you. Have you seen the mime? He's like, he can't even do a box. He's like he's.
Hit me? You just came up and hit me. I'm gonna get like a restraining order or something. He just hit me in the mouth.
I'm just glad to call him a friend. For me, why I think Street Performer works so well is that the world of Street Performer feels right, it feels real. And the person that had a big hand in making that happen was Don Merritt Jr.
Hi there. How you doing?
When he put together the props and dressed the alleyway and then dressed the sidewalk, he really made the world of Street Performer a reality. And it really felt like when we put the car in there that we were in the late 1920s, 1930s. His contribution is without measure. When we were finished in the editing room, I was with Jeff Ayala, the editor, and he asked me, he said, "What's your favorite shot in the whole movie?" And I said, "That's easy. That is the shot where my character is walking down the alley." And I remember when Eric and Andy had got that all lit up and we had the smoke going, and I saw that on the monitor, I knew that we were onto something. I knew that we had something that just might work. And I knew we were in good hands with people like Eric and Andy and Matt Irby behind the scenes, because they really brought so much more production value to this project. So my second favorite shot of the movie is the opening shot, where the camera is dolling down the sidewalk and we're being introduced to all the characters for the first time. That was a fairly complicated shot. There was about 4 or 5 guys on this golf cart in order to make that work. And one of the things we couldn't do that we thought we would be able to do is actually drive it. And we couldn't do that because anytime you hit the gas, it would lunge the golf cart, and of course that'd make the camera jerk. And so what we decided to do was get Kirk Edwards and Matt Irby actually had to push it. I believe Jason Edwards was driving. We had Drew on monitor and Eric on camera. So that it took a lot of guys to make that shot work, but it was worth it in the end. Did a great job. So many things have to come together to make a project really work, from the acting to the music to the script to the editing. And Jeff Ayala brought a lot of interesting ideas to Street Performer, and I was so pleased that when I went into the editing room, he already had a couple of sequences put together. The whole alley scene where my character jumps off the scaffolding and everything. And he brought a lot of impact to that scene. I've never really done action before, had to direct an action scene, and I thought that scene really works well, and a lot of that has to do with Jeff Ayala. You know, I thought, not to get overly sentimental or maudlin or anything, but